In tonight's Who's Accountable report, a look at a Mississippi law some say is keeping them in unhappy marriages. Now, we got an email from a woman who says the law has her trapped because her husband won't agree to a divorce. She wrote, quote, "I have lived apart since 2001 and spent $50,000 trying to get a divorce, but can't because my so-called husband won't agree. Members of the legislature tell me this comes up every year, but will never change. I want to know why not." Well, 16 WAPT's Joyce Brewer got answers for this woman in tonight's Who's Accountable investigation.
Because I spent $50,000, gone through 5 lawyers, and I still don't have a divorce.
Meet Tasha. She wants out of what she calls an emotionally abusive and controlling marriage. Tasha is in her 50s and asked us to protect her privacy.
I actually asked about a divorce on the honeymoon and didn't go through with it. It was against my religion. So instead, for 19 years, I tried to make it work.
But now Tasha says the Mississippi divorce law won't work for her. In order to get a no-fault divorce for irreconcilable differences, her husband must agree to it. She left him in 2001, and he still won't sign the divorce papers.
It's as though I'm a piece of property. The marriage was a purchase, and I'm, in his eyes, owned.
This is a very real problem in Mississippi. One Supreme Court justice 20 years ago called this divorce blackmail.
Mark Chinn has been a divorce lawyer for 30 years. He wants the state's irreconcilable differences divorce standards changed too.
I think we could relieve a lot of stress on children, and we could relieve a lot of financial stress on parties in the court system.
There are a lot of conservatives, and I'm a conservative Republican myself, but there are a lot of folks on my wing of the party who feel like adjusting the divorce law any whatsoever to lessen the requirements is encouraging families to break up.
Senator Joey Fillingane, who's also a family law attorney, supported an amendment to the 2008 covenant marriage bill. The amendment to Senate Bill 2550 said if a spouse could show they lived apart for 2 years, they could get a divorce with just one spouse's signature, not both. It passed in the Senate, but failed in the House.
No one likes divorce. No one likes to see families broken up. But I don't think any of us also like to see people kept together on paper who are hating on each other and involving the children in that situation.
Protecting her child is what Tasha says keeps her from getting a fault divorce, where she'd have to provide evidence or testimony that her husband was abusive.
Could easily obtain a divorce if I were willing to put my adult child on the stand in the courtroom, but I made her a promise that I'd never do that.
With that divorce option off her list, Tasha just hopes the state law will change, because after more than 20 years of marriage, she knows her husband won't.
By no means do I want it to be easy for somebody to get a divorce and just take marriage half seriously, but being strung up for this long is just not fair.
Attorney Mark Chinn says he's known clients who moved out of Mississippi to states like Florida or Nevada just to get an easier divorce. Tasha told us Mississippi is her home and she shouldn't have to leave the state to get out of her unhappy marriage. Ultimately, lawmakers are accountable for the state's divorce laws. Call or email your state representative or senator to tell them what you think. I'm Joyce Brewer, 16 WAPT News.
Now, we want to hear what you think about this story. Should the divorce laws change in Mississippi? Call our Feedback 16 line at 601-355-1616 to weigh in. And you can also call that number if you have an issue or problem in your community and you want us to find out who's accountable. Another way to get our attention, send your email to us with your ideas. That email address, of course, is who'saccountable@wapt.com.